Okay. Today, I would like to introduce you to Kristina Coderre. She is a mom, an entrepreneur, and she missed her calling in life to be a comedian. Welcome, Kristina.
Ah, that's so funny because the idea of being on stage is terrifying. Interestingly.
No, I
Thanks
don't
for,
believe
for
that.
having me. Yeah.
I have invited Kristina here today because we met about a year ago in a group that we were both in, and she has been thinking about shifting her business, which can be a really big deal when you've invested a lot of time and effort into doing something a certain way. And she's willing to share with us what that transition stage looks like for her.
Yeah, it's interesting when you have that moment where you're like, this isn't working. And you have put all of that money, all of that effort, all of that time away from your family into building up whatever it is that you feel like you're building up. And so I'm going in this direction and I feel like I need to prove myself. I need to prove to my husband that the investment, was worth it. I need to prove to my kids that, you can persevere and create something amazingly beautiful. And honestly, we need the money because our four kids are eating us out of house and home. And so there's an expectation that we make an investment, we build some stuff, I invest my time and my money, and that something is going to come in return. And then you come to this place where you're like, I am on this hamster wheel, running, 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 running. And what's coming in is not as great as what's going out in terms of my business. And so I have to think, is it viable? And if it's not viable, what does that mean for me? And so that was an interesting place for me. And I spent a full day dealing with the emotion, the slap in the teeth of that from life, and a woe is me sort of day where it's like, man, I put in the effort. I did all the things. I did everything I was told to do. I learned all the things. I've got my funnel in place. What is it that's not working? And then insight came. And that's what I'm hoping to share with you today.
Oh man, I think our society also has this belief that, like you said, if we persevere, if we work hard enough to make something happen, then eventually that hard work will pay off. But you're right. What if in that process you decide that that's not actually what you want to do? So, what do we do from there? What was the insight that you gained?
So it's interesting because I've talked to other people who have had a wildly successful business and they went through this exact same transformation where they're like, I don't want to go down this path anymore. And that's where I was. I don't want to go down this path anymore. I don't want to spend my evenings away from my kids if it's not going to turn into something that is enhancing my life instead of taking away from it. And so after I worked through the emotion, I realized this is a gift. This is a gift for me to get to make the choices that are going to align better with my life. And potentially, and the big gift for me, the big realization and aha is to stop doing it the way that I've been told to do it and figure out what it is and how to do it in a way that feels so amazing to me that I cannot wait to work on it, that lights me up. And I know that when I find that thing that lights me up, it's just going to show in everything that I do. And even if it's not, successful, I always know that I can pivot again too and tweak it until it is exactly what I'm looking for.
Totally. And that whole idea that there's no such thing as failure, you're just getting feedback about what worked and what you might want to change for future. That's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And it feels freeing actually to have this whole new place. Like it feels like I am just embarking on an adventure. Like I've just quit my job and decided that I'm going to, tour Europe and I can do anything I want in any direction that I want. And so it's this cool, inspiring place. And what I've decided to do is to do none of that, to do nothing for a period of time, because what I don't want to do is to start running off in another direction that ends up being what I think I should be doing instead of what I really want to do. And so I'm just taking some time to chill out and let the universe do its thing and let inspiration come to me.
Well, I love that. And I'm so happy that you're here to role model what that could look like for someone who might be in the same situation. I was wondering if you had any tips if somebody was feeling like they might not be loving what they were doing anymore, how you came to the place where you decided it just wasn't working for you and not being able to have that feeling of pressure to make a quick decision. Like, what would you say to somebody?
So I think one of the biggest things is actually probably unexpected. It is a rewiring of my brain. Because what I find is that your mind wants to focus on the negative all of the time, right? I want to focus on, that idea of failure. Maybe I've let my husband down, maybe I'm not demonstrating what I want to for my kids. Maybe I'm not working hard enough. I want to go into all of those things, and those keep me up at night. And it actually prevents me from getting into a space where I can allow that insight to come. And so what I want to do is I want to combat that negativity bias by creating and consciously growing pathways for positivity in my brain. And so I love it. I can see you're getting excited about that.
You're speaking
So
my language.
yes, absolutely. And so our brain is plastic, right? We can change it. We can change it any way we want. And we have this beautifully strong pathway for negativity. And that I especially had this like fizzly pathway that was, underused and atrophying for positivity. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do a workout and I am going to build that up. And so what I consciously do throughout the day is I find something that is good. I find something that is pleasant. It could be like that first sip of coffee. It doesn't have to be something gigantically amazing. And then I just find that pleasant sensation and see if I can hold it, see if I can focus on it and become aware of it. Because we tend to just let it, drift over us. But what do we do with the negative? Oh my goodness. I think about it. I ruminate on it. I tell other people about it. I talk about it over and over again. Oh my goodness, this bad thing happened to me. Did you know this bad thing happened to me? And then I'll lie in bed thinking about this bad thing that happened to me. So I'm solidifying my negative pathways by doing that. So I'm trying to give that exact amount of energy to my positive pathways.
Love it. Positive neuroplasticity. That's exciting. I don't think I've heard enough people tell me how they love their first sip of coffee in the morning nearly enough as maybe they tell me they don't love their boss or how their kids are little brats.
It's so interesting because it's people don't even want to hear it, So I think there's part of the reason that I have such a strong relationship with my dog is that I have started working from home most days and he gets to hear it. So, oh, this coffee is so good. I love this coffee so much. I'm so happy. It's so warm. This is great. And so we can find ways to give it the amount of energy that we give to negativity in ways that are not, socially terribly awkward. And then continue that throughout your day. And as you're doing that, you're just starting to open that up. And as you open up that pathway, new things just seem to come through and I start appreciating life more. And the spring is blossoming and I'm starting to tell my kids in the car, oh, look at those pretty blossoms there. And oh, can you see the trees that are budding? And oh, look at and so I'm finding it's shifting my perspective in terms of feeling like there's a lot of hope for the future.
That's beautiful. That's perfect. I love that as a tip. And even like, it's funny you say this in the coaching practice that I do. One of the things that we look at as an assessment is to look at how well people tune into pleasure in the moment. So that like hedonism factor. And then if it's low, that's something to work on. Like, Oh, that really nice warm whatever blanket, or the feeling of my hand on my dog's fur, the sip of my coffee, the warmth, the taste, the texture, whatever. And so it's exactly what you're doing, because you're right. A lot of us skip over the good stuff and we just fixate on what's going wrong.
Yeah.
So if people are interested in contacting you to see what you might be up to in your new adventures, how would they do that?
Well, if they're interested in learning about wiring for positivity, I have a burnout escape plan. It's on my website at mindbs.ca/escape burnout. And that starts with all of these practices, which I call mentio, mental physio, that we can do every day in order to start rewiring our brain and calming our nervous system so that we can tap into that potential and that wisdom that's inside of us. On top of that, you can find me on YouTube at Kristina Coderre.
Love it. I will put those links down in the comments so that people can locate you and hopefully take advantage of your amazing resources. Thank you
Thanks,
so
Charlotte.
much. This has been fun. I love your tip and I'm excited to see what you get up to in the future.